Hello, Jody Mayberry, host of Creating Disney Magic with Lee Cockrell, coming to you live from Lee's office in Orlando, Florida. Another one in our series of videos. I haven't thought of a name for these yet. I don't know. In the office with Lee, Lee's office. Maybe we'll come up with something clever at some point. But we've talked about recognition and encouragement, but this episode we want to talk about change. Maybe trying new things, not being afraid of it. Just like these videos we're doing. Now, I'm going to be honest, I don't like video. I don't like doing video. But this is a change. We're doing it, and we're just going at it amateur style with a phone in Lee's office. We're having a lot of fun with it. But let's talk about change with Lee.
Hey there.
Okay, so we're going to talk about this castle. First of all, what in the world? What's that castle made out of?
Well, what it's made out of is my business cards from Euro Disney, which is no longer Euro Disney. You talk about change. It's now Disneyland Paris. And somebody decided to present this to me while I was there, and they asked me for a bunch of my business cards. And some very creative person cut them all up and ended up with a castle. And pretty amazing. I mean, just shows you the ability to think up new ideas, new ways to recognize people. Fun is out there in the world, and there's a lot of very creative people. So I got this, and I love it. And it talks about change because I made a big change in my life when I went to Disney. I had been at Marriott for 17 years, was doing fine, and life was pretty good. And I got an offer to come to Disney, and I went home and asked Priscilla, and she said, absolutely, let's go. We get to live in Paris, and you get paid. And so we made that trip, and we stayed there 3 years. It changed my whole life. It changed the trajectory of my career. My career really took off after that when I got to Disney and then came back to Orlando. And really, it was an amazing journey, and this is to remind us we were there. I was trying to speak French, which I couldn't very well. I could basically get a sandwich because I could speak a little bit to tell them I wanted a jambon et fromage, ham and cheese sandwich. So I ate that every week for 2 weeks till Priscilla came over. So yeah, great memento. I loved having it, and it's cute.
Such a neat memento, and that represents a big change. We'll get more look at that. Look at the detail. They did an incredible job with this, Lee. Yeah. And the flag on top says Lee Cockrell. It's so neat. So that represents a big change you were willing to make. But this bottle of Tabasco, this represents a small change you were unwilling to make. Tell us about that.
Well, we love Tabasco sauce, Priscilla and I. And mainly we eat it when we have meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and Brussels sprouts. Some of you may not like Brussels sprouts, but so we always had red Tabasco. And one night, Priscilla put the meatloaf on the table, and she handed me a bottle of green Tabasco sauce. And I'm going like, what is this? This looks horrible. I don't want this. And what I realized was, yeah, we all like change until it comes to our house. And I went back and I got some green bottles of Tabasco, and I made a speech to all my management team about change. And I said, I'm sure the first guy at Tabasco that recommended green Tabasco, he probably got fired. People probably, because this is historic. This is a new thing coming in the market. And so I tried it. It was great. I love it. And it's a whole different flavor, a whole different taste. And that was the message. We sometimes reject change until we kind of get into it and find out, hey, this is pretty good, and we should have been doing this a long time ago. And I'm sure now Tabasco, they have another new brand. They have the red and they have the green. And they heard about the store, and they sent me a bottle of red to remind me about change. And it's got my name on the back, and pretty cool just to remind you. Don't fight change until you've tried it. Give things a chance. And if you, as I always tell people today, if you stay in your village, your whole world looks like your village. You think the whole world is just like where you live. Get exposure, get experience, try things, and you'll become much more successful in your whole life and not have any regrets. And literally, the whole world is a big place, a lot of great people around the world, and it'll help you get more comfortable appreciating everyone and the different ways people do things around the world and the different religions they have, sexual orientation, everything you can think of about people. And get out of your village and make some changes in your life.
Well, this also led to something special at Disney, you trying green Tabasco sauce.
I did. I started giving green Tabasco awards. I think I only gave out maybe 9 or 10, and that was when somebody took a really big chance and made a really big change and was cooperative in the change, and it succeeded. And I sent them a bottle of green Tabasco with their name on it, and it was the Tabasco Award #1, #2, #3, #4. So I think there was a guy by the name of Joe Wisner out there. He got the first bottle for something he did, and again, people loved it. I go to their office, they'd have it displayed, or at home, or wherever. But don't underestimate the little things and the big things in recognizing people. A kind word, or a bottle of Tabasco sauce, or whatever you think is appropriate. Just the main thing is people will appreciate being recognized. So that's it. That's what I know.
All right. As change and, again, Lee, recognition snuck into this episode. It seems like that's a theme that keeps coming up.
It is. It's easy to do if we just remember to do it.
So if you enjoy these episodes from Lee's office, you might also enjoy Creating Disney Magic podcast. Lee, can you tell us a little bit about the show?
Well, Jody Mayberry called me 3 years ago and asked me to be on his podcast, Parks and Recreation. And I said, what's a podcast? That shows what I didn't know what was going on in the world. And we did it, and that was it. And about a few months later, Jody calls me and said, have you ever thought about having your own podcast? I said, Jody, I didn't even know what a podcast was till you called me last few months ago. I said, I'm happy to do one as long as I don't have to do any work. As long as you'll do all the work, edit it, get it out, promote it, I'll talk all day long about different subjects on leadership, management, and customer service. So we started, and I think we're not about 20 away from having 200. You can go out there and listen to them if you like, and you'll learn lessons in 15 minutes every Tuesday about leadership, management, and customer service. And again, it's been a great marketing tool. I get notes every day from people that say, thank you so much for doing this. I'm learning so much. It's expedited my movement into leadership, or I'm being recognized now because I do some of the things that I hear on your podcast. And so there you are, another way to do things. If I was at Disney today, I wouldn't do the Main Street Diary. I would probably do a podcast, or I might do them both. You got to communicate in different ways to different people. So yeah, it was fun.
Well, Lee, I think you deserve a Green Tabasco Award for being willing to take on the big change of a podcast.
I think we'll have some downstairs. We'll have it with meatloaf this afternoon.
All right. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you again, Lee.